many wonderful things that happen here. But there are a few things that actually get to the top and over the top and just amazing. And one of the most amazing events so far this year is having the Jazz House kids here. And I want you to applaud them. So on behalf of Trinity Church, Wall Street, our rector, Phil Jackson, and Michael Bird, who is a friend of Melissa and this prestigious group, it is truly my honor to welcome you all. They say if music be the food of love, play on. This group of amazing, and when I say amazing, you know, it's good to meet musicians who are not just great at their craft, but they're just wonderful and grounded and amazing human beings. And they have transformed this campus. It has been a tremendous blessing walking around and behind every tree, just hearing music flowing out, and behind every flower, just having music flowing out. So, about 20 years ago, this came out of the dream, the love for music, the passion for life of Melissa Walker and Christian McBride. And Melissa is here, and I would like Melissa to stand. And so for all the friends of Trinity Retreat Center who are here, you are in for an amazing treat. And again, I just want to thank you all, and as I've said to you, probably all individually, you rock. You rock. Thank you for what you do. You know, there's a ripple effect of what you do with the kids, with the young people who you train and have camps for and teach in the public schools in New York and New Jersey. But you are transforming this world. And so thank you. Blessings upon you, and you know, as I like to say here, there's only one rule: you must come back. And so, enjoy this evening.
teachers from New York City Public Schools. We have a few TAs who have been here this week mixed in. We've had an awesome week here at the Retreat Center, and have been working on studying, talking about music all week, and are excited to have this performance to share with you. So, my name is Nathan Eklund. I'm one of the teaching faculty. Along with this combo, my partner in crime is Kaylee O'Doherty. And we've had just an awesome week working with all of the fellows here, and we've had a lot of fun with this combo. So that first piece was a piece written by the great saxophonist Eddie Harris titled Cold Duck Time. It is a drink, in case you're wondering. I didn't know that for a long time. I discovered that it's a drink, as you can have. Maybe we'll look it up at some point. Anyway, we're going to continue with a piece by an iconic pianist by the name of Herbie Hancock. This is a piece off of his first album that he had as a leader called Taken Off, and it is titled Drifting. So we hope you enjoy it.
We also had yoga in the morning. you very much. We're going to have a quick switch over, and then we have our other combo coming. So give us just a moment.
That was awesome. Y'all were awesome. Yeah. I want y'all to get up and do the second line.
That was really fun. Thank you so much.
That was really great. Well, it's done your ears some good.
Getting over.
We are.
So little time.
privilege and a pleasure working with all of these educators all week, and I know they're feeling really proud, just like myself and Alvesta are. Playing this music, learning so many new concepts and approaches to improvisation, but most importantly, get instructor stuff and have fun. So without further ado, we're going to start with our first piece, written by Charlie Parker. This is called Anthropology.
Ethan on drums.
piece entitled Angelica, otherwise known as Purple Gazelle. Thank you so much.
How about one more big hand for our blue combo under the direction of Camille Thurman and Alvesta Garnett. We're going to take a quick minute to transform the stage for the big band. We will be back very soon.
Wow. Right, here we go.
All right, so as we finish setting up, we just want to take a couple minutes to recognize a bunch of people this week. We so are incredibly appreciative to the whole team of staff here at the Trinity Retreat Center, from Carol and Amy at the front to Julia and the whole team of people in the kitchen staff, to Pastor Mark, to everybody. You've just been so welcoming. You've been such a great environment for us to be in. Yes, thank you. And this would probably be a great experience if we did it anywhere, but it's truly enhanced by what this community is. So, thank you. Yeah. I also wanted to just recognize, my name is Nathan Eckland. I'm one of the faculty, but also part of the staff at Jazz House Kids. And along with Melissa, I know we want to recognize this awesome partnership that we have with New York City Public Schools and all that they're doing with music and jazz education in New York City. So the couple people that we'd really like to recognize are the Director of Music, who you heard and are hearing play the tuba, Ms. Liz Goodman. And also coming up to visit us for the day today, and we hope maybe he's going to hang out with us a little bit more next year. We'll see. We know he's a trumpeter now, at least I do, and I'm a trumpeter, so I was excited about that. But we really appreciate it. The Executive Director of NYCPS, the Arts Office, at the Arts Office, Mr. Paul Jonathan Thompson. Thank you. For all the work that we're doing at the Jazz House in Montclair, New Jersey, as well as at Trinity Church. It's awesome to have partners like this that can really help us to continue to increase the vision of what the Jazz House is about. So, all right, so it looks like we're pretty much ready, so I can stop talking. But this has been a lot of fun. So I'm not going to tell you all the details, but we have a ton of musicians here who are not playing their primary instruments for this big band set. You might, if you paid attention earlier, you might notice some of them are holding different instruments now than they were before. But part of what we've been working on this week is obviously dealing with some of the small ensemble, the combos, the improvisational side, and then the large ensemble, which is most commonly in the jazz world, the big band. And so we have put together an ensemble that looks really normal and has a bunch of people who pushed their way out of their comfort zones but have just done an awesome job with this. So we're going to, yeah, how about a hand clap? We're going to play a very wide array of music for you from the big band world, but we hope you enjoy it. We're going to play a little bit of more modern stuff, but a lot of really classic big band things. So this first piece was written by a phenomenal pianist and composer. She did not get her due because of the time period and the fact that she just didn't get recognized. But this was a great chart written by the great pianist Mary Lou Williams. She wrote this. This was performed and recorded by the Andy Kirk Big Band, and we hope you will enjoy it. This is titled Walkin' and Swingin'. on the tenor saxophone. And our big sax solo that featured the whole sax section, and Jen on the trumpet as well. We're going to continue with a fun one from the 60s. This was an arrangement.